So, Hodl, thank you for coming on to the podcast. You've been around in Bitcoin for a long time, but for those who aren't familiar, could you talk about how you got into Bitcoin and what you're currently doing?
So that was back in 2017, right? Um, Midway through the year, I was getting tired of equities. Things were like predictable, and I was just like, okay, it's time to find something else. And I was on YouTube, and all of a sudden, some altcoin noise came by my way, and everything that glittered was gold back then in the ICO day. And I was ignorant to what the white paper was at that point. And so I jumped into some of that garbage, right? And to my dismay, the Security Exchange Commission said, made a little bit of noise about some of that stuff, and everybody got freaked out. And, I was fortunate. I only took like a 20-30% haircut. I jumped out of the way, and I regrouped midway. It was like midway through the year 17. I decided like jump out of all that noise, and I was like, wow, what just happened here? I had to take a look at what was going on. So one thing I noticed was that all these exchanges and everything that I was getting involved with and all these other things, all they wanted me to do was to get Bitcoin and send it to them in exchange for whatever it was they had to offer. That was it. They only wanted Bitcoin everywhere I went. And I saw this as a common denominator, and like a light bulb went off. I was like, wow, why is that the only thing that these people are asking for? They don't want a bank account. They don't want credit card numbers. They don't want nothing else except for this. And so I kind of like noticed that pattern. And so I went seeking further knowledge on what is Bitcoin, why Bitcoin. And so then I found bitcointalk.org, and the rest is pretty much history from there. By the end of the year in 17, I had committed myself to building mining operations and had already started like moving capital towards doing that. The banks at that point were massive, they were really, really making me want to get into Bitcoin, because every time I would try to move money, they would freeze my accounts and stuff. And so they were like cheerleaders for Bitcoin almost, like screaming like, hey, this is why you need Bitcoin. And it was like, just by the end of 17, I was taking all my cash out of the damn bank and going to buy miners.
Wow. And so, how has that changed from when you first started mining to what you're currently doing now?
Well, so at that point, I was just building operations for myself. I was just like worried about how much hash rate can I get online, and I came to this understanding that like this thing's bigger than myself. I need to not really worry about my own hash rate. I need to kind of help the rest of the world get it online. And so I shifted from worrying about building my own operations to now I build operations for other people. And so working with corporations like Sovereign Mining, like my guys over there, we're trying to establish contracts out. Well, we have contracts actually currently out in North Dakota, and we're building out there. And just there's a couple other guys out there that I'm working with. I haven't talked to them about being public with their information, so I'm not going to name them. But they're private entities and they're building. One of them was interested in doing wood gasification and utilizing alternative energy. And then there's another guy who is also doing some other stuff that we're doing with flare mitigation and stranded resources out in Pennsylvania. And so, things are just moving along, man. But yeah, now it's more about put the ego aside for my own hash rate and get everybody else's on, because I can't keep what I have unless I give it away in regards to Bitcoin. That's how Bitcoin works.
Cheers.
But what are you currently doing in Kentucky?
Right now in Kentucky, I have my own like little bit of operations, like my own repair shop and stuff. But because of the disaster that just occurred about 285 miles north of me, I'm actually getting ready to get the hell out of Kentucky because all that stuff is getting carried down into the river, and long-term mutagenesis and other issues are definitely, there's a lot of potential for that. And I think it's going to wreck the ground, the soil, and everything that comes from it. And, everything comes from the earth, my man. So,
And you're talking about the train derailment in East Palestine?
Yep. They've already stopped taking water from the river down here and said they're running on reserves. But, I don't trust people. I know that there's people pencil whipping operations. I do and have done robotics and automation before, and I do my PMs, but I see other guys go through facilities and they'll pencil whip their work, and I know that happens everywhere. And so it makes me wonder, when did they actually decide, to test the water and see that there was a problem and decide to stop taking water from the river, And then the other thing is how long the reserve is going to last. And then you also got to consider that water is getting absorbed into all the land around here right now, too.
Yeah. There's a chain reaction to all of this that's happening. And I've noticed that there's been also other reports of train derailments and supply chain issues happening all across the country. And it seems to be happening all at the same time. Have you noticed that?
I actually have friends who are first responders. They're establishing private channels and to just like relay information back and forth. And they're saying that never before in history have they seen this type of escalation in regards to these types of incidents. The scale and the frequency with which they're happening is unprecedented, and they're being told not to talk about it, they're telling, and that they're like having these private groups so that they can at least express their concerns to each other, because they're being told not to express their concerns. It's very frightening.
And why do you think that is?
Honestly, because the citizens at large would probably go into a panic if they understood that there's being a manufactured crisis that is like occurring in order to control them. Would that make sense to you?
It's interesting.
It is. I mean, who knows which direction this stuff is coming from? I don't think that it's good for the citizens, though. No matter what. I mean, really, we're just trying to, like we say, we're the carbon they want to control, and that's what they're working on right now.
So Hodl Tarantula, I know you're religious. What is your religion again? Sikhism? That's what it's called?
Affirmative.
And can you explain that a little bit for most people who are going to listen to this? Because most might not understand what that is.
So, Sikhs are monotheistic, right? We believe that all religions are just different doorways to the same house.
What does that mean?
Well, pretty much that all people should be allowed to practice their faith as long as they're not forcing it to hurting others, and that, we believe that and respect that, and that in the terms that all religions are just different doorways to the same house is pretty much just saying that we believe that there's one ultimate creator, and that the different religions out there are just different languages to speak to that creator. But they're all we don't view them as above one another or anything.
And how did you find this? Did you grow up this way, or did you grow up a different religion?
No, I was baptized Catholic at birth, and so that was interesting, because it's like your family brings you into that stuff, right? And the thing is like in Sikhism, we do not proselytize. It's forbidden. The person must be given the choice. You introduce them, and then they get to decide what they want to do. It's not like where, you're baptized into it, like through birth, like your family would do to some people and in some other cases. And so, like, I always saw a lot of stuff going on in this faith, like the Christian faith, where people seem to be preaching this message of love, but then they want to, like, in the same time, there's been a lot of killing in the name of that love, and like, I have a hard time with that. That's not for me. Like, that's kind of contradictory to the message. And so I decided to walk away from that faith. And I always felt like that, people should be able to practice what they believe as long as they're doing so earnestly and they're not trying to force it on others maliciously. And I believe that to the point where I'm willing to protect another person's right to do that. And so that was one of the things that brought me to Sikhism, was that equality amongst all, and that all should have the right to practice, That was important to me. And that was something that I saw there that was beautiful to me. So I gravitated towards that. Sikhs are a warrior caste by origin, and what they do is they protect the religious rights and freedoms of others, and they'll die to do so. And so that resonated with me strongly, because I believe in protecting other people's rights. Always have. And so that's the path that I chose for my faith.
So if you have any children, do you teach them this religion, or you kind of let them do their own thing?
They are taught about it, but objectively, and then they're allowed to choose whether or not they want to participate in that faith.
So do you believe that Jesus Christ was a person?
There's interesting history behind this name, right? Can you find any actual record in, like, places where that man was supposed to exist? There are people out there that would disagree that he was physically there. Actually, there's historians that have like shown there's no record. And so that's an interesting question. I wasn't there, and so I cannot verify something like that.
Okay, so the Sikhs they believe in the one God, but so there's no opinions about Muhammad or Jesus or Moses, or there is?
No opinion, just that the opinions of others should be respected.
Do you know who
our holy book, actually, if you look at the Sikh holy book, the Guru Granth Sahib, it actually is the only religious text in the world that has the writings from other faiths in it included, intentionally, for teachings.
Do you think that some religions are better than others?
I do not.
And why not?
Because I think that to say that one is better than another without, like, where's the merit? Like, why,
Because if some religions promote, like, murder or stuff like that, is that better or worse, or like sacrificing people, like Luciferianism or like Satanism and stuff like that? Is that the same as? Are they the same as Christianity, or do you see one as better than the other?
I would say that if somebody's pushing murder, there's nothing good about that. And the question like that is kind of a loaded question. Now,
But
if
there's
somebody
religions
wants
that
to,
do that. Do
if
you agree?
somebody, I have seen in the world much pain because of religions that they don't actually, they don't think they're murdering. That's the thing. They believe what they're doing is righteous and in line with their belief.
Right,
Now,
but I'm
where
asking
I
you
have a
if you think
problem,
if one's better than the other for doing that.
I don't think that I don't think it's good at all that somebody would want to take a life. And the thing is like, for me, I don't think that any religion is better than any other religion when it comes to people wanting to take other people's lives. There's just a hard stop there. Period.
So with that,
And the thing, like, I think that what you're looking at is the individual person's interpretation of that faith. Because show me in any religious text where it says that to go kill somebody.
well, you know about John.
Like where it says like to just go murder people intentionally.
Have
I
you
have
heard?
not seen that in religious text.
Have you heard of John Jones?
I'm not familiar with that.
John Jones had a religion, and at the core of it, it was for them to ascend and go to heaven or some crap like that. And so he had his entire congregation drink cyanide all at the same time, including the women and children, and it was a mass suicide.
Actually,
yeah.
Now here's the thing,
and that was a religion.
Did those people know? Did those people know that they were about to drink cyanide?
Yes.
That's the question. They did. So they willingly participated in that. Who
Right.
am I to stop them or say that what they're about to do?
Do you think do you think that is on the same level as say Christianity or a religion that doesn't support killing yourself?
Here's the thing, like,
do you think they're equal?
I think what it matters is to see that guy had his own idea. I won't say if they're equal or not. I mean, you're talking about two fundamentally different things here.
But you said said that all religions are the same, and I wanted to know if you think that the John Jones religion is the same as Christianity.
Well, obviously they're not the same.
Do you think that one is better than the other?
I would say
his name was Jim Jones.
What's
the Jim Jones juice. That's one of the things they used to talk about. Oh my gosh.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
That rings a bell. That rings a bell. So now here's the thing. What I think is equal is like people's ability and right. Like they should be treated equal. A person should be treated equal in their right to practice their faith. Whether like if their faith is going to be like hurting themselves and they think that that's good for them, I'm not the one to say anything, you know, that's the thing. And that's how, so maybe equal is like a word in, to be gifted with slightness, you know, like you have to be careful with that. Because what you're thinking about is equality in their pursuit to practice their faith, you know, like if you want to like do apples for apples and oranges for oranges, then, you know, I think you're going to have a hard time there because people's religions and everything is vastly different across the world.
Do you think some religions are better than others?
I haven't experienced, like myself, all the world religions and practiced them, so I cannot say that one is better than another, honestly. Can you?
Yes.
How so?
Christianity is better than Jim Jones' religion, whatever he was creating, whatever that crap was, because it's not about killing yourself. It's about overcoming that spirit from within and living. It's about life, not death, and that makes it better than the Jim Jones religion.
Okay.
And so there are religions, just like cultures. There's some cultures that are harmful to people and harmful to society, and there are cultures that are better, just like religion.
Here's the question though. People go to religion because they think that they think it's what they want, and so how cruel are we to stop people from going after the things that they think they want?
Well, ultimately, they can do whatever they want. If they want to suffer and die and drink the Kool-Aid, they have that right to do so. But it's wrong to. But hang on. But it's wrong. It's wrong to say that those religions are the same. They're wrong. It's wrong to take your own life. It's not moral, and you can say that to them and stand up and speak out.
They think
and if they want to accept
so
that, they can overcome that.
I have to respect their right to think that it is. That's what I'm saying to you.
Amazing.
That might be hard for you, and I understand that, but it takes a lot of intelligence to entertain an idea without accepting it.
Do you have anger?
No, I'm just thinking out loud about things, I see people getting hurt in the world and it makes me frustrated, but I can't control what other people do, so I have to let it go,
Yeah. It's not normal for men to be angry. Do you agree with that?
Here's the thing. I think that it's not normal for people to be angry all the time.
Or to be angry at all.
I think that it's okay to experience the emotion, and you have to acknowledge that there's going to be anger in the world and that there's a potential that you might get angry about something. But the thing is to know who to be angry with and why and at the right time. That's what really is hard, because the thing is a lot of times people put themselves in situations and then they project their anger. Like it's coming from somewhere else, and really they ended up putting themselves in that situation.
Yeah, there's no love in anger.
No, absolutely not. That's why when somebody's angry, they should think about why, and think about if it's something that somebody else did, they should think about their own shortcomings too at the same time. Because literally, if you do that, you're going to find that your anger is going to go away pretty quickly. Because nobody's perfect. And then you arrive at a point of empathy and then hopefully compassion, and through that you can find love.
So is there a good and evil aspect to Sikhism?
There's an innate understanding when it comes to what's right and wrong. You can feel it in your being.
And where does that come from?
Love.
Cheers. And what is love?
It's okay, let me give you an analogy, right? So you see a flower, you like it, you might pick it. But if you love it, you'll leave it there and give it water.
Amazing.
It's support. It's caring. It's kindness. It's compassion. It's seeking understanding. It's hope. It's everything. Everything that matters.
Hey, I'll drink to that.
Do you think the world is lacking love nowadays?
I do, and I think that it's being stolen from us through fiat. The fiat world is creating a state of distraction and anxiety. It's pushing people they're on a hamster wheel, and they're running so damn hard, they're having a hard time seeing the person next to them. And they get caught up, and it forces them into a place where they're worried about self, and they get distracted. It's hard for them to look at others, and so it's not that it's not out there, it's just that it's not being focused on.
What do you think is going to take for people to start waking up to this fact and doing things in the right way?
Well, you're gonna have to people. Well, you have to define the right way first, I guess. Right?
Like leading people in the right way, like for men to stand up and start leading the country and go back to building things and
Morals and
maintaining
principles.
things and not being intellectuals, going back to God,
Yeah.
overcoming that mother's
I
nature.
hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think with that, there's gonna have to be a major loss for people to be able to understand where they need to come back to.
You said a major loss?
Yeah, like yeah, and by that I mean like they're gonna experience eventually the net of the SWIFT system like Russia has, but on a micromanaged scale. Like they're gonna lose their ability to do what they want when they want at a level that's very hard for most people because they haven't developed any sovereignty, and so that is a major loss. And then what might happen is then people will be like, well, maybe some of the things that I was chasing and some of the stuff I was focused on, maybe that wasn't the way. And the other thing is like it's gonna force them to look at what they're doing with their with themselves, and at the same time, it's gonna force them to look at the monetary system as well, and that's gonna be really interesting. Because once people discover that there's a way to recapture their time, then a whole new world of possibilities can open up for them where they can start to focus on love. Because right now, they're having a hard time focusing on anything except for trying to get the next piece of cheese. The damn government killing them with cheese, man.
So what are your thoughts on this new artificial intelligence, ChatGPT? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's pretty interesting. I haven't personally went and played with it or had any direct interaction with it. I do see some people are saying like that there's guys out there making screenshots of things saying that, oh, ChatGPT likes this and it doesn't like that, and so it's biased. And I think to myself, anything that's created by a man has the potential to be biased, It's like, what is that? So I'm just kind of like looking at it from a distance, kind of watching. Haven't played with it. Don't really have an opinion yet. It's interesting.
Do you think AI will take over?
Only if people let it. See, that's the thing. Like, most people don't understand that they create reality, literally. And so if they want a reality where something like that happens, it's going to be because they created it. It doesn't have to be allowed to happen. It's all about what people want to happen, though. That's the thing.
What are your thoughts on like supercomputers and quantum computing and possibly breaking Bitcoin's SHA-256?
I'm not really concerned about that because, all we have to do is just change the algorithm up.
And what do you mean by that for people who don't understand?
Well, like, there's, like, with the it's like basically if they're going to break this this code, we can simply just import and use another code.
Like, do you know what code they would use in a situation like that, or how things would go down?
I don't have a specific answer right on hand, but I do know of groups and have and I do know of people that actually have and are working on stuff like this. So, I mean, there is another SHA-256 version out there that's actually like kind of on standby and can be used in the event that something like that happens. It's just pretty much restarting the code. But the thing is like the silicon computing power behind it, as long as it all is as long as it goes into using that code, it will be just as efficient.
So in that scenario, would the blockchain continue TikTok's next block, or would some blocks be redone?
No, it wouldn't need to be redone. It's just like it'd be
a fork.
It'd be like kind of like a soft fork though. But kind of hard because it's the whole damn code changing. So literally, but the thing is like, if we picked up with 330 exahashes of like computing power instantly, that wall of energy and computing power is enough to procure that chain into perpetuity, and there isn't enough computing power out there in existence that's capable of breaking that chain. So it wouldn't matter.
Is there anything...
What would matter is that the principles and the fundamentals followed, because that's where the real value is.
And those haven't changed, correct?
Affirmative.
And so is there anything that you can see right now? Because a lot of this stuff, I guess, has been debunked over the last few years.
Yeah, man. That's like, fuck, man. I was wondering why you asking me these questions even. Like, dude, you know I'm way beyond all this, right?
I heard it recently in a different kind of space, and I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, because people are still talking about it, and that just shows just how few people have really understood the actual basics of this technology. And so I'm wondering if currently any new arguments or new debates have come about that make you rethink or think that there's a potential for Bitcoin to stop doing what it's setting out to do.
No. Right now, our network is the healthiest it's ever been. In fact, we're putting on energy and network. So we're putting on energy all the time in places that there was never energy available to be monetized before. Like, we're building in places that were impossible to build before. Like, we're 17,000 plus nodes in over 156 countries, with over 330 exahashes of ASIC silicon computing power behind us. This thing is like an unstoppable force, man.
Amazing.
And this energy, this wall of energy, it is more decentralized than the nodes themselves even. Because there's dudes like me who's willing to go out into the backwood with a generator and a 55-gallon drum and spin up a gasifier and literally turn a tree into a battery, man. Make that thing into energy. And so it's like, at what point can it get any more decentralized man, this stuff ain't never stopping.
And so how soon do you think that this technology will... How soon do you think it will be before mainstream adoption happens?
Well, you look at the S-curve, right? And you look at that, and you think, okay, it could be sooner rather than later. But then you got to also consider the power of psychology. And so there's a force out there that, they don't want Bitcoin to succeed because it wrecked the hell out of their abilities. And that's the fiat force, They just fought it into an oblivion, man. And then people, that's the thing. How long will people be afraid? It's like, can you say? It's hard to say. Not everybody's going to wake up at once. Not everybody's willing to, overcome their fears at the same time. Some people never surmount their fears, It's like, what do you do with that? So it's hard. It's a hard call, man. All you can do is just try to be empathetic and loving towards the people who are stuck in ignorance, Whenever it happens, it happens. But we stack it in the interim, right, baby?
Cheers.
S-curve would dictate that this happens sooner rather than later. But you got to understand, if hyper-Bitcoinization is going to bring a lot of pain. $25 loaf of bread ain't gonna be nobody's friend, man. I'm trying to see that.
What do you think of? What do you think of central bank digital currencies?
Oh man, hey, it's a trap. What? That's the big loss that I was talking about, man. People get involved with that. You know what's gonna happen next? The guillotine. For anything that they wanted to do that ain't pre-approved of by them. So once they experience that, it's going to be a day of reckoning. It's going to be some outrage. There's already people out there that have experienced bail-ins, and they're already upset and outrageous. Like other countries, they take your money straight from your account if you ain't using it. Talking about, we need this. It wasn't yours anyways. So, and you got central banks over in Lebanon getting, and they just locking the doors on you. Like, and they're not even at a CBDC point yet. Like, man, imagine that. The people here, they're going to have to give them CBDCs and make them, and I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to introduce it like the bread and circus show. They're just going to be like, here's free money in this form. You got to spend it or else we take it from you. It's to help stimulate the economy. But really, it's a trap, man. But they're going to dress it up real nice, you know. All traps are, we call it camouflage, well, and inviting. That's why they are what they are, you know?
Yeah.
Gotta be vigilant, man. Gotta be vigilant. Gotta understand what you're dealing with here. Snakes, man.
Yeah, it's a battle of good versus evil and right versus wrong.
Dude, literally at that level, yeah, because theft is at play here. It's wrong. It's evil. It's tyranny at best, yo. It's crazy. Can't respect it under any circumstances. Literally creating this money out of thin air and stealing from people their precious time. Disgusting. These banks are not banks, they're time cartels. And they need to be taken out to pasture, my man. Time for that to be gone. I'm not talking about going and killing somebody. I'm talking about when you take this idea and put it to rest. Get rid of this noise. It's no point.
But do you think the Lightning Network is the solution?
I think there's a lot of merit to the Lightning Network. I like it. Over time, surely it can evolve, get bigger and better. I mean, there's layer 1 security, and then you got secondary Lightning. Have you guys seen anything else that's working better for transactions right now? Like small transactions and whatnot? Just curious.
No, I usually use Blue Wallet.
Yeah, I like Blue Wallet. I've been using Blue Wallet for a couple years now, and then I like Wallet of Satoshi. I've been kind of playing with that lately, messing with that on Nostr, and that's kind of like really shown me a lot. Like Nostr and the zaps on Lightning is like, man, people see how this is going back and forth.
Could you explain what Nostr is?
It's like a decentralized version of Twitter. So you run your own instance and create your own space versus having the actual account on a centralized server, which is what happens with Twitter.
Interesting.
It is. It prevents you from being shut off, that's for sure. And there's a lot of that out there, you know. But the thing is with that, you gotta understand that you're gonna see stuff that you may not want to see. So when you give everybody the ability to say whatever they want, you're gonna have to, it's like dealing with freedom of speech. You have to, there's gonna be people out there that say things you don't like at the same time. It's hard. There's nasty, horrible stuff out there on the internet that, it's terrible, you know?
So does Nostr prevent you from getting canceled?
Pretty much. That's the thing. And that's why I say, you gotta be able to deal with the hard truths of, the world if you're gonna be involved with with a space like that, because there's going to be people that you might come across that might have a message that you don't agree with, and there ain't nobody you're going to be able to report that to. There's not going to be able to anything you can do about that. So you're just going to have to, pick and choose who your friends are and be careful about that,
Yep. And I've noticed that there's a lot of people on Twitter that are like that. They're weak and they are affected by mean words, and then they go crazy and they try to shut other people down or report them or spam them.
I've thought about words, If you, so that's the thing. If you're going to be so much upset about other people's words, you have the ability to not interact with them. Like, nobody says you have to go and put yourself in the position where you see these things. Like, people talk about, I got bullied on the internet. Well, turn off the damn screen. I mean, you can block the person. But the thing is, if you want to disrespect their right to speech, you're not really a friend of humanity's, because free speech is important, man. That's the thing about it. You gotta harden yourself up and understand that, when it comes to something like free speech, you're gonna hear things you don't like, and if you're not hard enough to deal with that, then you maybe need to be careful about what you say yourself. It's how the world is.
How do you
it's
think?
Difficult.
How do you think people got so weak by that?
Well, that's because things like participation trophies and everything else in the world that has been all about promoting victimhood versus strength and tolerance and discipline. If you focus on things like being strict with yourself and disciplined and tolerant with others, you can walk into situations and have a fortified mind, and you can see people for what they're saying and entertain their crazy ideas without actually accepting them. That's difficult for a lot of people. Thing is, that's a part of freedom of speech. You can't force other people to not say what they're going to say and entertain that idea at the same time. And where people got soft along the way, it's because they got given whatever they wanted all the time. And, that's not always good for you.
What do you think people need in order to turn around?
Well, it would be wrong of me to say what people need. I'm not somebody to dictate what people need in order to turn around. I think that if anybody is suffering and there's issues that they're experiencing in life, that they need to just take a hard look at themselves and figure out, what's going on. Am I working against the grain? What is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I trying to do with myself? A lot of stuff when it comes to people and in problems, a lot of it comes from inside. You gotta look at yourself. Like I said earlier, a lot of times we put ourselves into positions where there's problems, because literally we create our own reality. What we think is so powerful because it becomes our actions, and these actions have consequences. So if people want to have better experiences in life, then they need to change their thoughts first and the way that they feel, and treat themselves and look at themselves and how they're looking at others. And it starts in the mind, and then through that, if you're strong enough and you have enough courage, you'll embody that, and then with that, you can make progress forward.
Amazing.
It's not easy, though.
Yeah, I
Hard.
agree.
It's difficult. I mean, dude, literally the easiest thing in the world is to blame other people. But the hardest thing to do is to confront self.
Yeah, that's very true. Do you think a lot of people do that in today's world? They don't
Sure,
confront
man.
themselves?
Surely, why not? Why not? It's an easy thing to do in the fiat world. Literally, it's always about passing the buck down in the fiat world. You know, like, I know a lot of Bitcoiners who practice self-awareness, and, like, they're always seeming to be looking in the mirror and, like, making progress in life, it seems like. And then you look at the fiat world, and it's always like, instead of them looking at themselves, they're being distracted, and they're looking, like, chasing cheese, and with these distractions, it's easy to not look at self, and then there's a lot of pain out there in the fiat world, and people like to complain with each other and stuff, and so with that comes a lot of blaming. And so it's an interesting dynamic between people and how they work on themselves and everything. The dynamic between, like, individuals and how they are in the fiat world versus people in, like, the Bitcoin space. Now, not everybody in our Bitcoin space is always, like, perfect. I can say that because I definitely am not. Have plenty of flaws myself. In fact, if anybody ever tells you something bad about me, I'll say that, you know what, they probably don't know about all my other flaws, or else they would have mentioned them as well, too.
Dang.
So, I mean, really, it's about, you know, trying to look at what we're doing, why we're doing it, and if it's beneficial for ourselves, like, is it beneficial for others? Like, I try to think about what I'm going to do, and if it's not going to be beneficial for another person, then it's probably not going to be good for me. And I say that because what we do unto others, we do unto ourselves, because we're all connected in this world. And so if there's going to be a change, it has to start with self. And that change should be trying to be loving and caring towards the other people. And then I think that it reciprocates and grows.
If you could say one thing to the internet and they could hear your words, what would that be?
Seek understanding before getting angry. And look at yourself before, you know, dismissing others. And respect other people and their thoughts, and know that even if their thoughts are wrong, that it's probably because they've been hurt in the past. And it's not necessarily because they genuinely want to hurt others. And try to be compassionate and caring in that respect. Because there's a lot of pain in the world, and I think that there's not enough of understanding, seeking of understanding. So it's just like, before getting angry about anything, try to be understanding and try to wake up every morning and know that you don't have to live in the past. You know, live in the present and love, and that is, like, the real way.
So, Hodl, what are some other things that you think people should know about Bitcoin or Sikhism or whatever you think is important to you?
Well, I mean, my faith is my faith, you know, and I may not be the best at describing my faith. I'm sure people out there practice my faith can better speak to it than I can, and I apologize to anybody out there that thinks that I, you know, didn't do a good job to that. But I mean, for Bitcoin in the world, I mean, just, I'd say to people, don't be dismissive. You know, don't stop being curious and wanting to learn new things. Like, Bitcoin is a new thing, and there's a lot of fear around it because it's unknown, it's unfamiliar. Don't listen to the parrots. Seek your own knowledge and come to your own conclusions through true objective observance and understanding. Because there's there's real-time theft occurring, and there's a way out. But the thing is like, people have to not be afraid. They have to be willing to take a risk, a gamble, and go forward with that. I mean, such is life, there's no risk, there will be no reward. So don't stop with the knowledge and try in the pursuit of it, because that will better prepare you when you see these risks. And you'll be more, we'll say, able to reap the rewards.
So you said you're currently in North Dakota?
No, I'm in Kentucky right now. I was out in North Dakota, and then I had a contract over here that I had some work I had to do, and there's also a server in Tulsa that needed to be worked on, and I had to retool and get some stuff taken care of in order to be able to help my brothers with that. So and then also, like I said, the damn disaster that just happened a couple 100 miles north of me. It's leaking down the river right now. I'm just making preparations to figure it out and get moving on the next new horizon after Kentucky, because man, I don't think it's going to be good sticking around this spot. But then like I said, probably going to end up back in Tulsa here in another week or two maybe, and then after that going back to North Dakota, hopefully, because I got a box that's about to be delivered out there, and I'm going to need to put ASICs in it.
Nice. So you're going to move the ASICs from Kentucky to North Dakota?
No, man. I don't know. I might just sell the operation that I have in Kentucky, because it's my private operation. The stuff that's going on in North Dakota is large corporation stuff. And I don't mix my personal private, I have my own LLC also, and I don't mix any of that other stuff in with that. So no, I'm probably gonna just sell the stuff that I got out in Kentucky here, and then I'm building the other operations in North Dakota, and those ASICs are coming brand new from vendor. So
nice. And what's the electricity rate you're gonna be getting in North Dakota?
Undisclosed.
Gotcha. Understood.
Bro, I've been making people mad with that. What are you talking about?
No, but I mean, electricity rates, you've seen them gone up in recent years, haven't you?
Ooh. My guy, TC, is in California right now paying over 50 friggin' cents a kilowatt hour, dude. It is absolute insanity. It's sad. And most of it's coming from taxes on generation. It's just crazy. It's madness, dude. What can you do? You gotta either figure out a way to keep up or get out. Now, unfortunately, some people have a hard time with that because they have family and stuff that don't want to do that, But thing is are you willing to kill? Are you gonna die and starve and suffer because somebody else isn't willing? Literally, would you kill yourself because somebody else doesn't want to live?
What the?
That's hard. Here's the thing. I got family in this that is in this disaster area that just happened up north, right? And I'm telling them that it's time to go, right? And the thing is though is that some of them don't want to leave. But the thing is should I stay for them and subject myself to illness and mutagenesis and everything else just because they don't want to leave? Would you do that? Because then the thing is you're no good to anybody else if you can't protect yourself. If you can't take care of yourself. If you're being, let's say electricity costs are so high, because that's what we were just talking about. If electricity costs are so high in this place that it's raping your bank account, you can't keep up, you're literally going to starve. You're either not going to have no lights or you're not going to have no food. You have to pick one. And so, if you're just staying there because there's other people there, at a certain point, you're going to be hit so hard that you're not going to be any good to those people because you can't afford to help them. Literally. So it's your best interest is to leave and go to a spot where you can actually afford to eat and take care of yourself so that now you can be in a position to help people. Because otherwise, you're just sitting there getting eaten away at financially or, health or physically, like whatever it is. And eventually, everybody will die. So you have to be strong enough to make the decision that self-preservation is the way, because otherwise you're not going to be able to help anybody else either. Just like in an emergency situation, you need to be able to know that you can help. Like if you're putting yourself in a position where you're hurt, you can't help other people. And so that only can happen if the person responding to the emergency is willing to consider self-preservation in real time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. People are going to have to make a choice.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard. It's going to cause a lot of pain. But the thing is that if they won't be able to provide unless they make that choice. And the thing is that the fiat snakes out there are depending on people being too weak to make these choices. But I'm not. Tried, baby.
Amazing.
Hey, man, some of us build, and we see, and we create, and we go, and we do it, And we're not going to sit around and just let ourselves get killed. We're not going to sacrifice ourselves for nothing either. That's the thing. Like, if everybody else is willing to just sit there and let themselves get chipped away at, what does that say about themselves? Where's your dignity? Where's your fight to live? Where's your courage? Like some people are like, oh, like I can't leave this place because of my job. Well, like your job ain't gonna matter in a couple years if you got cancer or something, or like if your electricity is so expensive you can't afford. Like your job ain't keeping up with the cost of your kilowatt, right? You ain't gonna matter. Like you're gonna have to figure it out. Like change it up and seek something new. That's it, man. It's hard. People get scared, but you gotta be strong. It's the most important thing. Just know that it's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. It just takes a little bit of faith, to move mountains with that stuff, gentlemen.
Hey, I'll drink to that.
Hey, man, I'm well practiced and versed, baby. We're moving mountains over here.
Well, Tarantula, thank you for coming on and talking with us. We will be sure to be in talks with you. And did you have fun?
I always have fun talking with you guys because I know that you guys like to pick things apart and play with people and I feel like I'm one of the few dudes that can play with you guys and not get wrecked. It's like when I come to speak with you guys, I know that you come with the knives out and it's because you want to see the person for the real person and you want genuine person, no bullshit, and I respect that, and so that's why I like messing with y'all.
We respect you too, brother.
Yeah. Where can people find you if they want to learn more?
Well, I'm moving over to Noster, and it's going to be difficult for me to speak my ex-pub, but I'm Hodl Tarantula over there, HT. But my ex-pub's on stupid Twitter, and I'm on Twitter all the time until I'm not anymore. Who knows when that'll be? Probably when they cancel me.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Hodl. We appreciate the conversation, and we'll be in touch.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Stay real.
See you, brother. All love.
Blessings. Love is the way. That's it.